Yes.
Pyrex and microwave in
I'm
the
out
whip.
here, you
You probably
heard?
think I'm baking cake when I'm working the whip. You probably think it's Pyrex.
Whole lot of shots followed after I bust your snot box. Witness a rock bottle. Shoot the fair one, mono the clown.
Which rookie was the biggest steal at where he was selected? Justice Winslow. I could have picked this without looking at it. Justice Winslow is that was on draft night. It was like, Pat Riley did it to us again. He did it to us again. Just like that Dwayne Wade thing where he comes and swoops in. He's already got a good team. And he swoops in and gets a guy that can help you right away. Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis is a hometown. He's with the Bulls, so he's out here. I've gotten to see Bobby Portis a couple times. Bobby Portis is a solid player. And the Bulls, that's another one of those things. The Bulls got him again towards the bottom of the draft and or bottom of the first round. And here they are again, finding that diamond in the rough. If you watch Bobby Portis play, you know, he's a mop-up kind of guy, garbage man. He's a guy like the boss, Ed Davis, where he's on the court, he's picking up loose balls, he's getting a lot of rebounds, he's protecting the paint, he's just doing the things that it takes, the dirty work underneath the basket that it takes to win games. So Bobby Portis, that's an interesting one. Emmanuel Mudiay is 7. I don't understand that. I mean, you know, dude's a lottery pick. I don't understand why people would say that was a steal. Or Miles Turner. I don't know why people would say that as a steal either. Who is the best international player in the NBA? Dumb category. Not gonna go over it. It's just dumb. Like, who's the best New York-born player in the NBA? Who's the best player in the NBA that's also a vegetarian? Who cares? Who is the best international player not in the NBA? See what I mean? Like, and look at all these names, like dudes you never heard of, and then Rudy Fernandez. I mean, who cares? What country is most likely to challenge the U.S. for an Olympic? None of them. Stupid question. Defense. Who is the best defensive player in the NBA? This is interesting. The GMs think that Kawhi Leonard is the best defensive player in the NBA, and they're wrong. Best defensive perimeter player in the NBA is Tony Allen, who is number 4 on this list. Tony Allen is obviously a better perimeter defender than Kawhi Leonard. Obvious. He's just better. Like, you can watch it. You can try to like look up the statistics on it. He's better. But it's interesting that you say, who's the best defensive player in the NBA? You notice that Marc Gasol's claim to fame being this great defensive center, he's not even like, he received some votes along with backup Andre Iguodala. You know, we know Andre Iguodala is great, but they won't even start him in Golden State. Some doofus said Rudy Gobert. That's a joke. That's just not true. Serge Ibaka, who was injured all year last year. Tim Duncan with the, father time vote, like some old dude like got to cast a vote and he thought it was like 1999 and put Tim Duncan down. I don't know what's going on with that. Tim Duncan has never at any point in his career been the best defensive player in the league, by the way. Never. He's a great defender, great player, but never at any point in his life has he ever been the best defender in the world. That's silly. I would have thought DeAndre Jordan would have got more votes, seeing as how, he's that rim protector guy. It's good to see Draymond Green getting votes, even though I kind of disagree with him getting that many. But it's good to see him getting votes because I like him. LeBron James only getting 13.8%. That's interesting because LeBron James has an argument for being the best defender in the NBA. Anthony Davis as well. But you know what? I don't want to talk too bad about Kawhi Leonard because Kawhi Leonard is a great defender. So I don't want to act like I don't think he's a great defender. I just know he's not a better defender than Tony Allen. So I don't like when they do that. And last year they made a real silly pick saying Joakim Noah. This is after Joakim Noah got tossed in the garbage by Nene. Remember that? You watched the Bulls play the Wizards last year in the playoffs? Not this past year, the playoffs before last playoffs. Nene balled that dude up and threw him in the garbage, man. No, Joakim Noah was not the best defender in the NBA. That's crazy talk. But the Kawhi Leonard pick, much less crazy. I disagree with it, but much less crazy. Now, who is the best perimeter defender in the NBA? Well, obviously Kawhi Leonard would win that because he was named the best defender and he's a perimeter player. Tony Allen, the real best perimeter defender in the NBA, at number 2. Jimmy Butler, number 3. Interesting that he would get as many as LeBron. He's not as good a defender as LeBron, but he is great. I like all these picks. I think DeMar Carroll is a little overrated, but I like him being a guy that somebody decided to throw a vote in there for. Andre Iguodala, we know, basically his Finals MVP award was really a Defensive Player of the Finals award. That's what he got it for. Chris Paul, glad somebody had the nerve to point out the obvious. He's one of the best defenders in the league. He's the best defender at his position. Klay Thompson, good defender, not great. Russell Westbrook, good defender, not great. Who is the best interior defender in the NBA? And now here we're back to Marc Gasol. That's stupid. And you know what else too? I didn't check the internal statistics on it because I don't really look up stuff like that because you just watch the games. But he doesn't even particularly defend well on the block either. And he doesn't I shouldn't say defend well. He's not like a stifling defender on the block, nor is he protect the paint very well. It's not like in the restricted area, he stops people. No, he doesn't. So this Marc Gasol thing where it's like he's turned into, I don't know what people are looking at when they say, actually, I think what people are looking at is they're not paying attention. Because saying that he's a better defender than Anthony Davis is mind-boggling. Or DeAndre Jordan. Not Rudy Gobert because he's bad. Dwight Howard, though? You're telling me that if you had to make a stop, you would rather put Gasol on somebody than Dwight Howard? That I don't believe you. And anybody that would say that is an imbecile. You're an imbecile if you say that. And I'll tell you something else. The fact that somebody voted Timofey Mozgov, who, by the way, Timofey Mozgov, nobody was higher on Timofey Mozgov in the finals. And I was irate when Cleveland was so stupid and benched him. But Timofey Mozgov, best interior defender in the NBA. You're a GM, you should be fired, man. You should be fired because you don't understand basketball if you're saying things like that. Which is the best defensive team in the NBA? There was really no question who the best defensive team in the NBA was last year. It was Golden State. That's why they have a ring. Memphis being number 2, I would go along with that. Coaching. Who's the best coach in the NBA? We already talked about it. We already talked about why. It's Greg Popovich. No question. I also find it interesting, by the way, the GMs decided that Steve Kerr some GM decided that Steve Kerr was the best coach in the NBA. Steve Kerr's been a basketball coach for 1 year of his life. So that tells you either NBA coaching is BS or Steve Kerr is a genius. You know what I'm saying? If somebody can step into a job that they've never done and be the best and be better at it than people that have been doing it their whole lives, either the job itself is arbitrary and it's not very difficult, or that individual is a genius, or that person's not as great as you're saying they are. So it's really one of those 3 things. Which head coach is the best manager and motivator of people? Greg Popovich and Doc Rivers are the obvious 2 choices here. Putting Steve Kerr here, and this is one of those things where you're saying Steve Kerr and you're just saying that. He's only been coaching basketball for a year. You can't really evaluate him like that. Like, how can you say he's the best motivator of people? How would you know? He's been coaching for 1 season. He's been coaching for 1 season and coaching a team that was already a cohesive unit. It's not like he had to build that or something. So that's kind of a weird thing that it would elevate him above everybody else that's coaching basketball as a person working in the industry. It's interesting to me. Which head coach makes the best in-game adjustments? I like Rick Carlisle at number 2. I'm glad Rick Carlisle got some recognition. I'm glad Jason Kidd got some recognition because Jason Kidd, you watch a Milwaukee game, Jason Kidd kind of flips in games in between doing things that seem odd and you don't really know why he's doing, and then he does something brilliant. So Jason Kidd, I like Jason Kidd being there. Eric Spoelstra, I totally disagree with. Eric Spoelstra's in-game adjustments are horrendous. They're horrendous. Now, here, and this is one of those things. I don't know why Eric Spoelstra isn't closer to here or closer to here. Eric Spoelstra is a great manager of the players. And the players love him, and they should, because he treats them with respect and he does right by them. But in terms of in-game adjustments, no. Which head coach runs the best offense? Well, the best offensive team was the Golden State Warriors, Steve Kerr, obviously. Greg Popovich, Mike Budenholzer. I agree. And then Rick Carlisle, Brad Stevens, I agree with those two. Those are all really good coaches. Which head coach has the best defensive schemes? I don't. You know what? Never mind. I'm not going to argue with this. I'm not going to argue with this. What I find interesting is Tom Thibodeau, 92.9% last year. Now he's barely getting votes, right? Because, and here's the thing. For those of you that, and you know, I get exposed to a lot of Chicago media. So I may be talking about things that are kind of that are more granular than most of you watching would like to would even care about. But you know, the Bulls roster was kind of turned upside down last year and made into more of an offensive roster. What's interesting to me is the question is which head coach had the best defensive schemes, right? So basically, the GMs are telling you, they don't really have that good. They don't really have much of an ability to evaluate what kind of coaching decisions are being made. That's a problem because they told you last year that Tom Thibodeau was the best defensive coach in the league. And then because he ended up with some lackluster defensive talent and didn't have that kind of and he also had to deal with the injury to Joakim Noah because he played the dude's legs into the ground. But because Joakim Noah's knee was hurt, he lost one of his better defenders, even though the guy was still active. The defense fell apart. That has nothing to do with your schemes. And this is why the Dave Yeager at number 2 is BS. Dave Yeager is nothing special as a defensive head coach. Dave Yeager has tremendous defensive talent on his roster. Dave Yeager has one of the best defensive point guards in the league. He has the best defensive shooting guard in the league. Dave Yeager is not some defensive genius. You know what Dave Yeager tried to do when he took over this team? Remember that? Remember when Dave Yeager decided they were going to be a run and gun team? And then they basically lost all their games, and then he had to flip it back around and plug back in the old Lionel Hollins stuff real fast before he ended up getting fired. Dave Yeager is not doing anything defensively that's special. Nothing. Steve Clifford in Charlotte. What are you talking about? They're not doing anything. Jason Kidd is a very good defensive coach. Greg Popovich is obviously an excellent defensive coach. Obviously, Tom Thibodeau is an excellent defensive coach. Frank Vogel is obviously an excellent defensive coach. Stan Van Gundy's okay. But the notion that you're just going to throw Dave Yeager out there because he managed to inherit this team that has tremendous defensive talent. Well, we all saw what you did with Tom Thibodeau. As soon as he didn't add a talent, now only one he is even saying the dude can coach at all. Which new or relocated coach will make the biggest impact? Well, Alvin Gentry is the obvious favorite. You know, Alvin Gentry is coming off the Golden Boys victory. He was the associate head coach for the Golden State Warriors. Obviously, they couldn't have won the title without him. And Alvin Gentry is now coaching New Orleans Pelicans. He's going to be the guy. Billy Donovan, man, I talked about him briefly earlier. Billy Donovan, high hopes hanging on him. Fred Hoiberg, high hopes. Scott Q Skiles. We all know what the Q stands for. Say it with me. The Q stands for quitter. Scott Q Skiles also has high hopes pinned on him in Orlando. That's Scott Skiles coming home to Orlando. Scott Skiles broke the assist record as a player for the Orlando Magic. So Scott Skiles, a dude I liked a lot as a player. He's coming back. That's kind of a homecoming for him. So there's high hopes on him. George Karl, who started off his started off his tenure as the head coach for Sacramento, started off terribly by trying to alienate DeMarcus Cousins. Really dumb move. But high hopes on them too. Mike Malone in Denver. He's the only one that thing is going to scuttle out and no one's going to care. Denver, they just don't have a good roster. So that's going to just go into the ditch and no one's going to really care. But Alvin Gentry, Billy Donovan, Fred Hoiberg, Scott Skiles, and George Karl all have big jobs ahead of them. Big jobs. I'm rooting for all these guys. I'm even rooting for Scott Skiles, even though he quits every job he has and he, has no work ethic. I'm even rooting for him too. Who is the best assistant coach in the NBA? Ron Adams in Golden State. Ron Adams has a lot of respect around the league. Long-time Bulls guy. Tyronn Lue. Everybody knows who the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers is. It's Tyronn Lue. And that's why I always blame things when they go wrong on Tyronn Lue. I'm not going to do what the people in the media did. They had all their fun with all of the, let's watch LeBron James disregard what David Blatt is saying. Hey, the players don't say anything to David Blatt. They always go to Tyronn Lue first, and people putting up all kinds of funny memes on the internet and everything. I'm not going to do like everybody else does. And then when things go right, give David Blatt the credit, as though we didn't just get through clowning him for not really being the head coach. Look, the dude doesn't even know the rules, man. He doesn't know the rules. David Blatt is not a coach at all. He's just a guy sitting in the job getting paid to do it. He's not a coach. Tyronn Lue is the head coach. So when things go wrong here, I blame Tyronn Lue and I blame LeBron James. So there's no doubt about that. No doubt about it. Messina, there's no way to know. There's no way to. It's one of those things. Is it Popovich? How much is the staff helping him? Who knows? That's just something that somebody trying to give the San Antonio Spurs as an organization credit, which is fine.
Oh yes, Sean Carter is nice, but Sean Price is the best. Sean gone, no Sean Dawn. Sean